Welcome everyone to episode 10 of Pro Player Plays PGA Tour 2K21. I play professional golf for a living, but I also love designing in this course designer. And today we had a little bit of change of plans for how this episode was going to go. Because when I first started thinking about this episode and what I wanted to do, I was really hoping to get to work on this clubhouse, which there's nothing here yet. This is where the clubhouse is going to go, right on this spot, right before hole 1, and kind of right over the top of 18. You can see how this is going to set up really nicely for a clubhouse. And the reason I wanted to do that was I wanted to talk a little bit about Oakland Hills Country Club, which for any of you who don't know, the clubhouse, the beautiful clubhouse that stood over the top of the South Golf Course, unfortunately burned down about a week and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer. And yeah, it was really sad to hear that, because Oakland Hills has just a ton of meaning to me personally. I'll tell a little bit of a story and explain why I wanted to kind of build a clubhouse in memory of Oakland Hills, or not in memory, but in honor of that clubhouse, because that was a place I played in the 2016 US Am at Oakland Hills, and I'd played in the US Am the year before, but I hadn't really competed or anything like that. I finished pretty far at the back of the pack. But then I came to this US Am, and I was still kind of a fledgling college golfer. I hadn't really done anything of note in my college career at that point, and I went to Oakland Hills, and the South Course there is nicknamed the Monster for very good reason. It is an extremely difficult golf course, and it challenges the best players in the world when they play the US Opens there. They've had a bunch of US Opens, a bunch of US Ams, and I went out in the first round of the US Am there, and I shot 71, which was one over par. It was par 70. But to shoot 71 on that tough of a golf course against that good of a field, you can go back and look at the leaderboard. Tons of names of players that you will definitely recognize played in that event. And I shot 71, which was one of the lowest rounds on the South Course that whole week. And I mean, after that season, or after that event, I went on, and the next season, I went from a guy struggling to make my college team to finishing 27th in the college golf rankings at the end of the season on a golf stat. And then the next year, I was Division I All-American and won NCAAs. And it was really like, when I pinpoint a moment that I realized I could play with players, it was that Oakland Hills US Am. And so to just hear about that clubhouse, that really meant a lot to me. And I wanted to do something in this episode to honor that clubhouse and kind of talk about what that course meant to me and what I'm sure it means to a bunch of other people, around the country and around the world, to be honest. But unfortunately, the problem is the clubhouses in this game suck. They are horrible. And I was fiddling around with trying to come up with a clubhouse that would maybe even do a little bit of justice to what that beautiful Oakland Hills clubhouse looked like. But there's just nothing in this game that looks anything remotely resembling what that clubhouse looked like. And so, sadly, I'm going to put it off. I still want to build some kind of memorial, or not a memorial, but a kind of just a tribute to that clubhouse, and hopefully they get it rebuilt to kind of the way that it was. But I wanted to honor it in some way, but I just can't do it with the current clubhouses that we have in the game, and I'd need to get very creative to do something with it. So sadly, I'm going to put that off, but I wanted to include it here because it's pretty relevant. It just happened recently. It kind of happened after I filmed the last episode, so I wanted to include a little bit of a talk about that in this episode. But because of the limit of the clubhouses, we are going to turn our attention to hole number 3, because we just finished hole 7 in the last episode, and hole 7 I think turned out really well. I'm really happy with it, and I think it really fits in with holes 1 and 2. It really continues this coastline look very well and blends pretty seamlessly in. But I want to turn our attention now that we've kind of got this coastline, we kind of know how much space we have here. I want to turn my attention to hole 3. And hole 3 is going to be an inland hole, and I think this is going to be a little bit different of a look than what we've got over here. Because we've got the ocean, we've got the seagrass framing right here. And on this side, we're not going to really have that. And that's okay. I think we're going to be able to come up with a really cool looking hole and a decent design. I've got an idea in my head. So first thing I want to do actually is I am going to go in and I'm actually going to make this inlet right here a little bit longer, or a little bit go deeper into this space, because I kind of want the ocean to come in right up to here, because I want it to be in play off of this 5th tee shot as well. This is going to be a par 5 that goes down towards the ocean, and I kind of want this little inlet right here to come in and be in play off of this tee. And with that in mind, I think that I am going to go in and I am going to lower this down and make this more of a channel, and then I'm going to lower all of the area around it and try and make this a little bit more ocean level all the way up into here. And so that's kind of the plan. That's what I'm going to do right now, and I'll bring you guys back in once this terrain looks a little bit more suited for a golf hole. So let's get after it. Now we've got a lot of this area flattened, which is what we were trying to do. We were trying to get this to look a lot more natural for this inlet. And I know we've got still some of these cliffs over here, but I'm not going to concern myself too much right now with hole number 5 and kind of how that cliff face looks. I'm more concerned with this hole over here, and the main reason why I really wanted to flatten this out and make it water is because first I think it's going to really help for hole 5, bringing this inlet, excuse me, up a little bit, get it closer to this tee box and kind of get it in play off the tee. But then the second thing is I think it's going to be a great sight line from where this tee box is going to be able to see. You can see your fairway here, you can see the green up in here, because I want it to be a little bit of a downhill tee shot, but then also in the background see hole 5 and have a really nice long sight line down from this tee box all the way out to where hole 5 is going to run. And that was, I think it was necessary to have this little land shift and have this brought down so that you could really have a good view of what hole 5 is going to look like. And yeah, with that being said, we've got some of that like really macro planting or sculpting down, but we want to get this hole to start having a little bit more shape because it's very flat right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to raise up this tee box, and the thing I want to keep in mind is I want to raise this tee box up, but I also want to move it over here to the left because this tree line is here. I know this tree isn't really like necessary for this other hole, but I do kind of want to have more of a sharp dog leg. So I'm going to move this tee box out into here. Let's do that right now, actually. Let's move this waypoint and get it out to where kind of around this tree. But the thing I want to keep in mind is that 8 tee box is going to be back in there, and I don't really want this tee box to get in the way of that. So let's kind of get it, see if we can fit it right about here. It shouldn't be really in the way of hole 8. It is not. That should be fine. And the other thing that I need to do is we've got to raise this up pretty significantly, because at the moment it is just too low. You don't have a great view of the fairway. So I'm going to raise this up. Let's try 20 feet. I think 20 feet is going to be a good starting point, and we can kind of see from here how this is going to look from this. It's a little bit low. We could even do more if we wanted to, and I think we are going to do more. I don't think it disrupts the view from hole number 1. This doesn't look crazy. I think we have plenty more room to go up with it. So let's raise it up. Let's get another 8 or so feet. Let's get up to here. And let's kind of get it back in this way, because this tee box is also going to be raised up. I'm not going to worry about all the minute details right now, but I think that looks pretty good. I think this is going to be a lot better of a box than the one that was pretty low to the ground. So let's flatten this up a little bit, just so that it looks a little bit better when we're back here. Okay, I like that. I think that is a good start. We have a better view down this fairway, which is what we're hoping for. So let me now talk a little bit about what I think this hole is going to be, because I want this general outline to be there for you to hear and then kind of see me work through it. I'm thinking we've got a par 4 here that's a pretty sharp dogleg, because right here, this is a pretty sharp angle. And I want it to go over this kind of a central bunker kind of in here that's going to angle more to the left. So the further you try to carry it over this left side, the longer of a carry that you have. But I want to reward the players if they get it up into this area after they cover this bunker with a better angle at the green and a little bit shorter of a distance. And I'm thinking I might add some kind of slope in here that's a little bit right of this bunker. And if you keep it left of this bunker, or if you keep it left of this hill, it'll bounce down to the left. But if you keep it right, it's going to kind of stay up in this area and just leave a longer shot in. Give the players something to be aggressive towards this green. I think that's kind of the plan. I don't want it to just be tight here for no reason. I want there to be a reason why you would want to actually take on this bunker to give yourself the shortest shot in and give yourself a nice easy little wedge, rather than like a 7-iron or a 6-iron into this green if you hit it back into here. The other thing that I really want to maintain is the sight line from this tee box to that green. That is a sight line that I think is going to be super cool, where you're standing here, you know you're aiming this way, but you know that the green is up here. And so I'm going to try and keep this sight line from this square that I'm looking at here to the circle of that green. I'm going to keep that very unimpeded upon by anything that I would plant. So that's kind of the general idea I have with this hole. So the first thing that I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of sculpting in here, and I'm going to add some bunkers. And I'm going to time-lapse this a little bit. Could be a pretty short time-lapse, but I just want to get it so that this fairway is a little raised up, and then it's going to go down, and this will be kind of the low point, and then the green will be sitting right here, raised up a little bit. And that's the general idea. The other thing I wanted to mention is I'm going to have a bunker short right. That's not necessarily in play, but serves as a visual blocker, if you will, where when you're standing in this fairway here, the green is going to be up here on this left side, and you're going to see that very clearly. But then there's going to be a whole right side of the screen that's actually the good spot to be, but this visual bunker will be in the way. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. I should just do the time lapse and then kind of explain my thought process with that. So let's just hop into it, and let's get some of this finer sculpting down and some of these bunkers in place. So I've got a couple of these bunkers placed now, and hopefully some of the things I was saying in that earlier dialogue makes a little more sense now. I wanted this tee shot, and I raised this bunker up so that you could very prominently see it off the tee. That's definitely, when you're on the tee, that's the bunker you're kind of basing all of your judgments on. It's a very similar concept to what I was doing here with this tee shot. This bunker, it's kind of the most important bunker when you're deciding that tee shot. So when you're here, that bunker is really what you're looking off. And I drew this yellow line because this is how wide I really want this fairway to be going right of it. I don't want it to be like super narrow here, so I'll probably have to delete a couple of those trees, but that's okay. We can work around that. But for this tee shot, covering that bunker, I think that looks good. I think it's kind of protecting the fairway. It's making it visually more intimidating. Like, you should be able to carry this. Well, I'm kind of here now. I don't really want it to be a 305 carry, so I might just cheat this a little bit and go up with these tees. So let's move this to about, what is it at here? It was at 433, and I probably want it to be about a 285 carry. So let's go down 20 yards. Let's go to 413. Let's get it to here, and let's sculpt this land and make sure that it doesn't look anything crazy. I'm not gonna be too concerned with making this look perfect, because it's gonna change certainly. Let's just get it raised up to here. Okay, so we got this in. Hopefully this yardage makes a little more sense. I kind of went too far with that. Yeah, 285. I don't want it to be an outrageous cover. I just want it to look visually intimidating. Most people, 282, you're going to be able to cover that unless you're into the wind. Then if you kind of get on this line over here, 297, that is not as easy of a carry, which is really what we're going for with this. We want it to kind of have, I guess, the further you go left, the more dangerous it is. But then with this second shot, I kind of want to play a visual trick with players, because as you can see here, if you're in this fairway down here, you are going to have a really tough time seeing this right side of the green. I know right now I have those, I drew in those yardage markers just to give myself a reference for where this hole is going to go. I want that right side to be pretty invisible to the player when they're down on this side of the fairway. And when it's here, it's going to be tough to see past this bunker and to see how much green you have to work with. It's just going to be kind of looking like the pin is floating out in the middle of nowhere. And I don't want anything behind it either to kind of give you a frame of reference, which is why it was important to raise this down as well, kind of give it that infinity look that we really did on hole 7. And that's going to be the visual trick with this hole, is this left side. It's going to look a lot more inviting. I'm going to have the fairway come up through here and be in over on this side. But I want this left side, if you're going to try and get up and down, I want it to be disastrously hard. I actually want this right side to be the much easier side to play from. So I'm going to have this green sloping pretty significantly left to right, going down towards the water here, but I'm going to have a nice little bowl of fairway that's not going to have a big tier, and if you were to ever hit it into this spot, you would be totally okay. You'd have a very easy up and down, and if you're on this side though, it's going to be very challenging, and despite the inviting look from here, it's going to be the side that you don't want to miss on. And I love those little visual tricks that some course architects do, where they make one side look better or look more inviting, and they have the fairway coming over here, but then as you get up to the green, you're like, man, that fairway, that was tricking me. I wasn't supposed to be over here. I was supposed to be playing on this side over this giant bunker, this dune that's right in my face. And I love it when they do those interesting little things to kind of throw off players and, you know, subvert their expectations, I guess, is a good way to put it. So with that being said, I'm going to get to work on this green site over here. I'm going to get to work on this because I want to get this hole pretty much laid out so that in the next episode we can come through and we can do some of the finer touch-up details that this hole might be missing before we get into all the planting and everything. So with that being said, I think I'm going to go through here, and I want to raise this up because this tee box is going to be a little bit raised, and it's going to be this uphill par 4. So I want this land area to make sense. Right now it's really flat just because I did this huge general flattening over here. I want it to make a little more sense, and I want to go in and I want to make this whole landscape make sense and have it slope down here from this top side down over to here. And then this green is going to slope pretty severely from left to right, especially on this left side. And that's kind of the plan I have with this. I'm going to hop in and I am going to get this green site laid and have it make a little bit more sense, have it look a little bit better, and maybe put some of the fairway around it as well. I might do that. We'll see how far I get, but let me do that right now. So I've got the green placed in now, and I moved the distance markers, so I hope that gives kind of the effect that I'm going for here, where you're sitting right here, and all you can see is that left side. And I think it's an awesome look because you're like, okay, green's over there, that must be the spot I'm trying to go to. But then you get up here, and you can see you get a pin over here. If you're up in this spot, you've got absolutely no chance of stopping this ball before it rolls all the way down, and hopefully not all the way down into there. And then to this pin location up here, you've got a really difficult up and down. You've got to be very careful that you don't hit it too hard. And that's kind of what we're going for. We want this to kind of be a bit of a trick for the players, that this side is going to be good. And then if you're over here, you're chipping up this green, you don't have that bad of a shot. You've got a pretty easy little chip, and that's what we want. We want this to be the side to miss on, despite it being very hidden from the players with this giant dune bunker right in front of the green. So with that being said, I want to go through and I want to place the fairway, because that will give a really good idea of what this hole is going to look like. And let's get that down. Let's go play some fairway and get this hole pretty much all laid down with all the textures that we want. So let's do it. We've got the fairway placed, and I'm a little concerned that this is too tight, where if you take this on, it's just going to go into this weird little spot. I want to add this area out here so that if you bail out right, you've got a shot, but you've got no visuals of the green. I definitely want this area to be right here. But the thing that I want is there to be this bump in the fairway that if you get it left of a certain spot, if you get it over into here, it's going to kick down this way, and you're going to be further up, and you're going to have a better angle on this green than if you hit it over to here and you're really blocked out by that bunker and you've got a longer shot in. So I'm going to work on that. Let's do this right here. I'm going to flatten all of this area because I think that I want this to be kind of a low spot of the fairway. I don't want, I want your ball to roll out over to here so that it gets way down here and you're just completely blocked. You have no visual of the green if you get it down into that spot. So I think that looks pretty good. I like that. I like that you're down a little bit lower. And then if you're back here, you've got a bit of an angle as well. And it's not too long of a hole, so it's nothing crazy. I mean, the hole is only 411 to the green. What does it say on the yardage? It says 427. I mean, if you hit driver and you hit a 300, that's not a very long wedge you have into the green. So it shouldn't be too big of a problem. And it's a pretty big green as well. So that's the good news. But let's start to work on this, because this is the part of the hole that I want to really reward players if they take on the line. Not necessarily saying that it's the right play, but I want this. I want there to be a ridge right here, somewhere in this area. Let's fiddle around a little bit. Let's get this up some feet. So like 5 feet or so. Let's put it here as well, maybe, just to kind of have a backboard. So if you try and get it into this spot, it's going to kick down there. That's kind of what we're looking for. And this, yeah, that blocks that bunker, but that, honestly, that's okay. That's kind of what we're looking for. And let's lower this all down and have it be just a little bit flatter. Let's sculpt this just to be flat so that if you land it here, it's going to use this slope and it's going to kind of slow it down. I do want to raise this up just a little bit more so that it won't roll through the fairway all the time. If it lands here, it's going to kick to there and it's going to kind of roll to this spot, and that should be okay. And then if you cover it on this line, I mean, you're going to end up in this area, which is like 340. So that's kind of the risk that you run if you take on this bunker. You're really bringing all that stuff into play. And the cool thing is you can't see that little spot. It's a very hidden tee shot. And to be honest, like, you probably, if I were to play this hole, I would probably play it up into here all day. Give myself a wedge in. Doesn't matter that I can't see the green. It's not that important to get it up into here, but I want to dangle that carrot. I want to dangle it in front of the players that they can get it up into here and that they can give themselves like a 90-yard wedge into this green. So that's all done, and I'm pretty happy with the way that fairway looks. We're going to work on the lighting a little bit. I know it's dark right now, and it might be pretty tough to actually get this to be any brighter, just because we got this tree line, and I'm definitely not moving this tree line. But the thing that we've got to make sure is that this bunker is well illuminated when we are planting all these trees over here. So that's something to keep in mind as we keep going here, but I'm pretty happy with where this is at and where this is going. I'm going to go through, and I think my finishing touch for this episode, I don't want to get into too much planting and anything like that. We've really focused on the looks of the main bunkers that are going to be in play on this hole. I'm going to go through and I'm going to add some of the waste bunkers that I've added to previous holes, and that will kind of complete the look that I'm looking for. Yeah, let's go in and do that. Those bunkers in, I think it gives a little bit better of a visual of how this hole is going to look in the future. You've got these waste bunkers here, and we'll definitely have some planting like we've had over here through it, but it's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be in the same style as this beachfront, because this is more inland. This is, I know this little inlet of water is going here, but this is going to be some inland planting. There's going to be more grasses. I don't want to get too much into it, but I have an idea, because as you can see, we're at 26% on the objects meter and we're through 3 holes. So that doesn't really bode well for how much planting we have to do, but I know that this grass is eating up a ton of the plant meter, and I really want to keep this look without having to cut down on it, which means I'm going to have to be a little more frugal with how I plant some of these areas. So that being said, there's going to be some changes to how I plant these kinds of areas. This area might be more similar to the beach because it's a lot closer to the water here, and I'm probably going to have bunker going all the way around it and kind of that beach style that we've had going here. But I didn't want to bring the water into play on this. I didn't think it was appropriate to have the inland hole go right up against this inlet. I thought it would be interesting to have the water there and have it be next to the green, but not really have it in play. I think that's what you'd see. You wouldn't have every hole right along the water, and that's kind of what I've opted to go for here. But there's going to be some more coastal planting here, and then definitely some more inland planting on this side of the hole. And we'll get this all framed up. We'll change up these trees a little bit, and but for right now, I'm pretty happy with where we're at. I hope you guys like what we've done here today. We got this hole basically set out the way we want it. I might change something with this. I haven't decided. I might make this a little bit more fairway because it kind of looks hokey with this rough just sticking out, but I'm going to leave it for now. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if you think I should keep that or if I should change it a little bit and make that more fairway, because it just looks like it's sticking out a little too far to me, but we'll see. We'll see what I end up doing with it. Yeah, we got this hole laid out, and I hope the strategy elements made sense, what I'm going for. Let me know what you think about that, and do you like what I've done with this blind shot? Is there something that you would have done differently? Would love to hear it. Thank you guys for watching so much. I really appreciate it, and have a great day, everyone.